Okay, in this video we're going to talk a little bit about the order taking procedure here, as well as server errors and how we handle those situations. Now, in regards to the server errors, I am referring to ones where you rang up the wrong item or the guest gets the wrong item, things like that. Now, first thing you got to keep in mind is with ramen in particular, our guests or guests in general really love modifying their dishes. As compared to, let's say you go to an Italian restaurant and they have chicken fettuccine. Normally you'll order the chicken fettuccine as is. Let's say you go to a steakhouse, normally you'll get the steak prepared however you want it prepared, side of mashed potatoes and a side of mushrooms, things like that. With ramen, there are so many smaller ingredients that guests like to add additional things. They like to do substitutions. And so what that leads to is one order for a table of 4 could be a lot more complex than an order at another restaurant. So in regards to the order taking, with a lot of our new servers, we recommend that they write all the orders down. Write it down as the guests are giving you the order. Now, second thing is you are to repeat the order back to the guests. The third is when you get to that computer and you're punching the order in, before you hit that send button to fire it to the kitchen so they can start cooking it, you're going to double check the order on that screen versus what you wrote down and verify it's correct before you send it out. Now, 9 times out of 10, if the guest gets the wrong item, it's going to be a server issue, a server error where they punched in the wrong item. Maybe they didn't write it down. Maybe they were going too fast. Maybe they didn't double check it. Very rare. It does happen, but very unlikely is where a guest will say, oh gosh, I'm so sorry. I meant to order this one instead of this one. Majority of the time it is a server that made that error. And so it's so important because, as I mentioned, the guests are in here and out within 45 minutes. So when we make any of these mistakes where we ring up the wrong item and now we've got to correct it with a new item, it's not like we're going to be able to make it immediately. The kitchen could be backed up with a bunch of tickets. There could be a delay from the server telling it to the lead server or the manager to get it all started, to where the guests may have to wait an additional 15 or 20 minutes before they get their food again. And if we're dealing with a lunchtime situation where they've got a 1-hour lunch break, or if the guest has to catch a movie, or they've got to go to any other prior engagements, we've really put them in a bind and they may or may not come back. So following those steps I just mentioned are going to really minimize the chances of a server making those errors. Write the orders down. Repeat the order back to the guests. Because if you wrote it down incorrectly, when you repeat it back to the guests, they're going to be able to correct you on it. Like, hey, no, I ordered this one instead of this one. And then third, last line of defense, double check that order on that screen before you hit send. Now, what's going to happen is if these errors are made and a server is sloppy, doesn't write it down, rings in the wrong thing, what's going to happen is the server is going to pay for that mistake. Literally, they're going to pay with the money out of their pocket for those mistakes. Now, it really doesn't matter who pays for it. I don't need your money. The restaurant doesn't need your money. But the moment that it hits you in the pocketbook, all of a sudden you're a lot more careful with the orders, which will then let us achieve that better service and we're able to retain the guests and they come back. But if you're sloppy with the orders, you're not careful, these guests most likely are not going to come back because we just ruined their dining experience. So please follow these steps, follow these procedures. We have them in place for a reason and they're only to help you out.